Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. I am Adam. I am back with my good old friend Joe from Stretford Paddock. How you doing, Joe?
I'm very well, mate. How are you doing?
I'm all right, man. I went for my first government-prescribed walk today.
I haven't been for mine yet.
You haven't done
after this. I will after this. I'll go after this.
Do you go out every day or?
I try to, just for a walk. Sometimes I'll forget because there is a little part of me that is still enjoying actually just being inside and like playing Xbox and stuff. So I do go on my walk, but not every single day.
See, this is that was the first time I went out that wasn't to go to the shop for like 2 weeks. So it was quite fun. I found myself taking pictures of birds and shit, which was weird.
Yeah, I took some videos of how like empty the streets were and stuff. Show my grandkids.
Yeah, it's a proper strange time. But anyway, to try and stop all the boredom and stop everyone going insane at home, we're going to do a little video, 3 in, 3 out. We'll make it a little bit competitive like it was last time when we did the fantasy draft, which if you haven't seen, you can go and check that out. So 3 in, 3 out. The rules are simple. Me and Joe cannot say the same player. So if I say Sancho, he cannot say Sancho. If he says Grealish, I can't say Grealish, and so on and so forth. And we'll see who's got what 3 ins and 3 outs we've got at the end, and you guys can vote on which one's better right at the end. Does that make sense to you, Joe?
It makes a lot of sense to me. The only thing that doesn't make sense is it ins first or outs first?
That's what I was going to ask you. What do you fancy doing first? Should we do the outs first? Because the ins is quite tasty, isn't it?
The ins is pretty tasty. Yeah, let's do outs first.
Right. How should we decide who goes first, anyway?
Whoever's thinking of the bigger number goes first.
That's
right.
How does that even work?
I'll say my first. 61.
What
were you thinking of?
7.
Oh, I'll go first then. I'll go first.
Right, you go first this time. I'll go first next time. So right. I don't know who gets the benefit there, because you might have to send someone out of Old Trafford that you don't want to send out.
Because that's 6 players overall that's going out, because we can't pick the same player after the first person's picked. So I'm going to go, and I said it's almost, I don't want to phrase it like this is an easy one, because this is a person's career I'm talking about here, but Alexis Sanchez has got to be the first man out the door, hasn't he? He's on 400 grand a week. He don't get a game. He don't get a game for Inter Milan. He's becoming injury prone. He's a sort of a symptom of one of the big problems at United, which we've had over the last few years, which is spending too much money on people who don't deserve it, and then they're not performing on the pitch. So unfortunately, we've got to get him out any way we can, really.
It's that wage bill as well. It's that wages, isn't it?
Isn't it? It's so much money that he's on. It's like the biggest earner at the club, and he's one of the worst players at the club.
And he's done nothing for the club. Yeah. Not that I want to strengthen your argument or anything. I thought you might have overlooked Alexis because he's no longer at the club.
No, he's still there. Don't worry. I know he's still there.
That's quite an easy one to go for. An easy-ish one to go for is Philip Jones, and not in a bad way. I don't mean to be offensive to him or anything. And I know there's that video of me out there saying he'll be captain and all that stuff one day, but I just think the time's up for him. I think we're hearing links of him with Newcastle and West Ham and those kind of things, and I think that kind of move would probably be best for him. United could recoup a little bit of cash for him, and he can restart his football career elsewhere. He's got talent. I think he's shown glimpses of it, but he's injury prone and he's error prone as well. And when he seems to make an error or have an injury, it's a big one. So I think he has to be top of my list for outs.
And do you know what as well? Again, not to strengthen your argument, but do you know how you said then, there's videos of you saying that, he'll be captain or all this sort of stuff, what Ferguson said as well.
United and England captain.
Yeah, exactly. But do you know what? In defence of Phil Jones, most players never even get that said about him. So he was obviously such a promising player. Obviously, his injuries haven't helped him and stuff. But at least we had that time where he was this youngster. He was this brilliant-looking young player who came through, had all this potential and stuff. And he hasn't really lived up to it, obviously. But at least he had a minute where we thought he might be something special. I think that's more than you could say about most players, isn't it? So fair play.
He's won a few trophies along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
He's won everything apart from the Champions League.
He's been all right.
But I think time's up. Time's up, with all due respect. Who's your next out?
It kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, they almost literally did go hand in hand.
No, I thought you were going to overlook this one as well.
Chris Smalling. I've gone for the Italian job. Is my Sanchez and Smalling. It's slightly different mood to Smalling these days. He's gone to Roma. He's done two things. First of all, he's proven the fact that he's actually not a bad defender, which we all kind of knew anyway. We saw under Van Gaal, when he's put in a system where all he has to do is defend, he really is pretty good. But under the Solskjaer system where you need to play out from the back, you need to be available to sort of collect the ball, bring it forward and put pressure on midfields that way. He just can't do that. And I feel happy for him because he's a nice guy, does good work. He's one of those people who off the pitch seems like he's a genuinely good bloke. And he looks really good in Italy, which comes to my second point. It proves that Italy isn't quite as good as we all think it is it? Like Koulibaly's been the best defender in the world for 5 years, despite never really winning a trophy. And I think Chris Smalling's gone over there. He's the English Koulibaly. He's shown he's shown him what it's like to be a good defender. And I think it's a nice time for him to leave because he can leave with his head held high and he's going to a club that appreciates him. I think, it's time for him to go, but it's not really.
We could see him return to England, possibly.
Yeah, potentially. I would like to think that we'd try and sell him to a club abroad. Not that it's the same situation as when you sell a striker and then they score against you, but I think it seems to suit him out there. A bit less pressure, a bit less scrutiny all the time. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him at even some of the similar clubs you saw linked with Jones, maybe slightly higher up at like a Wolves or an Everton, that kind of level. I think he could, be one of the best players in that kind of club. So, but yeah, I think it's time for him to leave United now.
Arsenal being linked with him is quite funny as well. David Luiz and Smalling would be hilarious.
David Luiz and Phil Jones, imagine them two next to each other.
That is a ticking time bomb. Ticking time bomb. So far, you've got Sanchez and Smalling, which I think is cheating a bit, but nevertheless, we'll let you have it. I've got Philip Jones, and now I'm going to go for Andreas Pereira. I feel that's a little bit sad, especially for me. Like him and Timothy Fosu-Mensah have been from that era of academy. Those were the two players that I looked at as those are the cream of the crop. They're going to come through and make it at Manchester United. And I just think in the middle of his pre-season greatness for United and then going out on loan and multiple loan deals and playing in multiple different positions, I think he just lost himself somewhere. And at United, he tries hard. He does everything that you want him to do, but the end product isn't there. No. And I can't see it just coming there overnight. He seems to have it all, but the decision making. And I think he could probably move on to a decent Premier League team or Spanish team or something. And I think it'd be best for him as well with Bruno Fernandes coming in. If we keep Paul Pogba, who else? Who knows who else we sign if we get someone else like Jack Grealish, Jadon Sancho. The position for him to play isn't going to be there anyway. So I think he's probably the best bet for him. And then we can even possibly bring in Angel Gomez and the like as well. So,
yeah, he's one of them, and you kind of can see it happening, can't you? And I mean, my pick is almost the sort of a similar. They've been almost put in a similar bracket, a similar kind of level of. I wouldn't say they've been isolated, but the way that they've been kind of pushed away almost as this unit. My next pick is going to be Jesse Lingard. And it's not because I think... Here's the thing with Jesse Lingard. I think if Pereira goes... This is also the sixth player that we've had to pick here, or the fifth player. So I don't think we'll get rid of this many players. I personally wouldn't have Jesse as the top of my list for people to get rid of. But when you look at the way Solskjaer's spoken about him, you look at the way he's dropped him, he's got Mino Raiola in as his agent, there's a few signs to me that his career at United... certainly isn't, on the best footing at the moment. And this is partly, this is less about who I want to leave, more about who I think might well leave. And especially since you've already picked Pereira, I think Jesse is in a very similar boat to him in that he's past that stage of, potential, and he's had a poor 12 months. I think the difference between Pereira and Jesse, which is why he's come later on this list, is we have seen it in the past from Jesse. We have seen how good he can be. We have seen that he'd be a very good squad player, that he could be certainly in a team that's top four and making that team better in certain occasions. But just the way he seems to have fallen out with Solskjaer is the way they were both dropped as soon as Bruno Fernandes came in. That worries me. And I think the Raiola thing might just be the sort of final nail in the coffin for Lingard's career at United.
Yeah, I think a move could do him well. Yeah. I'm a bit like you. Like if he stays, I think if he found his form again and he found his feet and he was happy again, he could contribute something to a squad that was fully functioning and that was playing well. But I think a move for him could actually do him wonders as well. You look at Chris Smalling and how well he's done since moving. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Jesse find that kind of level of a move if he did leave. Yeah. So I totally hear what you're saying. It makes my job a lot more difficult because Marcus Rojo would be the obvious choice.
Oh, does that even count?
He would be the obvious choice, but I love Marcus Rojo.
Yeah, you don't want him to leave. I've heard you talk very highly of him in the past.
I want Marcus Rojo to stay for life.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'd come down to, and it'd be a difficult decision, but I'd go Sergio Romero or Nemanja Matic. Romero would free up a space for Dean Henderson to come and help fight for De Gea.
Wow.
Matic, on the other hand, we get rid of him, we can actually invest in a central defensive midfielder and strengthen our team. So I'd go Nemanja Matic. But
wow, that's
the reason I say this is because, yes, he's done well recently. Fine. Thank you. Like, I'm glad that he's done well. He's proved me wrong in some level. But keeping him now means we're not going to buy a defensive midfielder. We are not. If we keep Nemanja Matic, we're not buying a defensive midfielder because we've got McTominay who can kind of play there, Matic, and then we've got Fred, who are going to be these third midfielders if we play Pogba and Bruno or Bruno and whoever. So I think get rid of him actually creates a problem where you have to buy a defensive midfielder. But if you invest properly, you improve your team. Because while Nemanja Matic has improved, let's be real, it wasn't that long ago we said he was finished.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bold claim, that one. But I know what you mean. It kind of, when people say, "Oh, it's a good problem to have," it's kind of at this point maybe it's not a good problem to have having this many. Like you said, Fred's not really a defensive midfielder that can play there by himself. McTominay's not really a defensive midfielder that can play there by himself. And while Matic is there doing it by himself, we don't need to replace him. But, a bit of depth in there, get someone else in as well. You don't necessarily have to sell him. But, yeah, I see your point.
Then if you buy an extra... We won't buy another midfielder if he stays.
No, probably not.
Well, he is staying, isn't he? So I don't buy a midfielder.
No.
But, yeah, there you go.
Very good. Very, very... Got a bit explosive toward the end there. Jesse and Matic gone. Wow.
Well, I think a lot of people in the comments will say Jesse.
Yeah. I just feel bad. I like it.
They say we protect him too much. I like Jesse.
Yeah.
But yeah, nevertheless, there you go. 3 outs. So your 3 outs were
Alexis Sanchez, Chris Smalling, and Jesse Lingard for me.
Sanchez, Smalling, Lingard, and mine was Phil Jones, Nemanja Matic, and who was the other one? Andreas Pereira. That's how forgettable he's been.
Oh, don't say that. You don't mean
Sorry,
it.
Andreas. I love you. I love you, Andreas. But I do feel disappointed that it hasn't quite worked out. Anyway, on to 3-ins, which is a bit more exciting.
Yes.
I get to go first here because you went first last time, right?
I got to go first because I earned it by picking the bigger number. Go on, yeah, you go first. You can go first.
Come on, pick it. I could have said 62.
Yeah, but you were honest, and that's why I like you. No, go on, you go first. It's only fair. We'll take it in turns.
All right, cool. So this is easy. First choice, Jadon Sancho.
Nah, easy, isn't it?
We need a right winger.
Yeah.
And Jadon Sancho is the man. I do think it means we spend a big chunk of our transfer fee on him, a transfer budget, but he's worth it. And we need that right wing spot is the only spot in our team that is saying, please fill me.
Yeah, we just don't have a right winger really at the club, do we? I don't think we have one. I mean, Dan James plays there, but I think even he's better off the left.
Dan James as a backup for Rashford or Sancho as well. Someone to come off the bench is a great option to have. I don't think he's a great option to have as your first choice when you're playing him every week. And just look at him towards the back end of the season. I felt sorry for him.
Yeah, I think he looked better again against. I thought he looked good against City, and I thought he looked good in the last couple of games we played this season after Bruno came in. I thought that lifted him as well. But yeah, I thought he needed a rest.
When you give him a job, he's very effective.
Yeah.
But when it's just we've got to beat this defense and try and work our way through, he's not as effective because he hasn't got as much in his locker. That's not like we bought him for 15 million from Swansea. What do you expect?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think he's a great squad player. And if you look when he was used correctly, he got like 5-6 assists. So he has it in his locker, but I think you just have to use him properly.
Yeah.
Jadon Sancho for me.
Right, first up then, this kind of goes back to your point from a minute ago. I'm going to go Wilfried Ndidi. I think he's the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League at the moment. I think he's exactly what we need. He's very similar to Matic. He's big, tall, excellent tackler, always in the top 3 tackling, most tackles in the league. Him, Wan-Bissaka and Pereira, usually from Leicester. He could work by himself in front of a defence. We could then, use the creativity of Pogba and Bruno, or whoever the other transfer is if Pogba leaves, and Bruno together. I think he's the one player in the league at the moment who I would trust to come in, sit in front of that defence and keep things steady while, we let that sort of front 6 dictate games. I just think he's a brilliant player, and we've seen that he can do it in the Premier League at Leicester. He'd be perfect, I think.
Yeah, he's a good player. I like him.
Yeah.
Imagine Leicester. They had Kante, sold him, and they just replaced him like that.
I know. Some teams just do that. They're like Atletico Madrid. They're strikers every single time. It's just like Torres, Aguero, Falcao. Like they just, no matter what, I've always got a world-class striker in there.
They had Forlan, David Villa.
Yeah, Diego
Fernando
Costa.
Torres, Diego Costa.
Unreal.
They had some fucking great strikers. Sergio Aguero.
Yeah.
Some great strikers down the years. Yeah. And goalkeepers.
Yeah, they keep turning them out as well,
De
don't they?
Gea, Courtois,
yeah. And now,
Oblak.
obviously, Oblak, yeah, sensational. Yeah. But yeah, got to be Ndidi. Who's your next one then?
Right, so you've got Ndidi, I'll go Partey, Thomas Partey.
Ooh.
Apparently a £42 million release clause. Rumours is going to extend his contract and boost that release clause. But as it stands, £42 million release clause. Again, for the same reasons you've gone for Wilfried Ndidi. It'd be perfect to sit there, destroy everything that moves, and recycle possession and give the ball to the likes of Bruno, who can play in 8 or 10, Pogba that can play in 8 or 10. And you can play a 4-3-3, which is the formation I want to see us go to. I think with the players that we have at the moment, we're more likely to play a 4-2-3-1 or a 3-4-1-2. I want to see us go towards that 4-3-3 formation. And I think if we rely on Matic to do that, we're not going to be able to play a 4-3-3-2 regularly.
No.
So I've got Thomas Partey.
Yeah, I think as well, like I said, I think we've come to this 4-2-3-1. I think Solskjaer does like playing that formation, but I think one of the big reasons is because he doesn't trust any single person to play that holding role. I do think it's a personnel thing as much as a tactical thing. And like I said, Partey potentially, I think, not quite as good as Ndidi, but yes,
probably just a bit better.
It feels a similar kind of job where he could probably do that by himself. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But that's I would have spent about. I know it doesn't matter in this debate because we're throwing transfer budgets out the window. But I would have spent about 160, 150. How much you would have spent so far? You reckon?
Well, I've only had one so far, so probably about 60 for Ndidi.
All right, cool.
And the next one is going to be another cheap one as well. And this one, you're not predicting this one, I don't think. David Alaba, left back, Bayern Munich. Somehow he's only 27 years old, by the way. He can play centre-back as well. I think as much as Luke Shaw's improved, I think that he's still, like, almost in the same way as Matic. It's not been that long since he didn't look good for the club. Not quite. He was never quite as down and out as Matic was. But there was times with Luke Shaw, you heard rumours about his discipline and his training habits and that kind of thing that kind of make you question things. I think he's looked excellent recently. But David Alaba's got, his contract runs out at the end of next season, so you're going to be able to get him for a lot cheaper than you would for one of the best left backs in the world. He's also played a lot of time at centre mid and at centre back for Bayern Munich. So if we're playing 4 at the back, he can play at left back, and he'd be perfect to come inside and play on that third centre back spot.
He'll do what inside?
He'll come inside, as we all like to do on the odd occasion. He'll come inside and he can play in that left centre back spot and get Brandon Williams in to play left back.
I am shocked we've gone for a left back. I
think it's. I would have picked Sancho first.
How much do you think we could get him for? Is he available?
I think. Well, the fact that he's let his contract run down to have 1 year left on it suggests to me that things aren't necessarily all rosy over there. Not that there's rumours of him, wanting to leave, but there have been talks that it wouldn't be as hard to get him out of there as it would have been in the past. And again, he seems to have been around forever. He's only 27. He's got 1 year left on his contract. You're talking no more than 40, 50 million for, a left back with 1 year left on the contract. I can't imagine it being much more than that. I think that'd be a steal for someone of his quality and versatility.
Good player.
There you go.
French as well, any? Austrian?
Austrian, yeah.
Sorry,
or is
I
he
French.
Is he Swiss? He's Austrian. He's
Austrian. Red shirts, throw you in it. Them famous old red shirts. Anyway, my third choice? Yes, sure. Sancho, Partey, and Jackie Grealish. Did you want to pick Jack Grealish?
Yeah, I should have picked him next because you never picking Alaba, were you?
I'm never picking Alaba. You should have thought tactically.
I should have.
Jack Grealish for me is a maverick. He's quality. He can play anywhere. You can just let him roam around. We could play him in an absolutely wild 4-3-3. We could play him as one of the wingers if you really had to. I think he's just a great footballer, though. And at Aston Villa, he seems to have knuckled down. I know he's had that stupidity during the lockdown, but hopefully that'll pass with, and it doesn't seem too serious. And yeah, I just think is the kind of footballer that you want to see at Old Trafford. The way he swaggers around the pitch with his socks half down, his calves and his small shin pads, and he's just an absolute baller, and is the guy that would get you on the edge of your seat. And if you had players like Pogba, Rashford, Martial, Bruno, that'd be a great. Imagine Pogba, Bruno, Grealish, Rashford, Martial.
They can't all play together though, surely.
We'll try.
Squeeze them in, put Matic on the right.
Dick everyone 5-4.
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? That would be lovely. I think he's a good player. He's definitely good. I don't know. One thing that worries me about him is he's never played for, he looked excellent when he got promoted with Villa, but the Championship's a different game to Premier League. I think he's still got the record for the most Premier League games without winning a game. He's never played in a team where the pressure was to do anything other than survive. And I think taking that step up, people sort of just, act like, well, he's played for a difficult team, so it'll be even better for United, when that's not always the case. Sometimes certain people, and I'm not necessarily claiming he is because I like him, but some people are best at being a big fish in a small pond. And that's my main worry with Jack Grealish.
He seems like the kind of guy that would thrive off it, though. Like, you've seen him come to Old Trafford. Like, he knew he was playing at a big stage, whipped one in the top bins, and it's like, I think he would thrive off that. And actually come into a team where he's not the main man. Like, you see how many times he gets fouled at the moment. Imagine if you had a Jack Grealish that was now, because defenders are worried about Rashford and Martial, he's now occupying places where he's got so much space around him.
Yeah, that's true.
Devastating. So I think I know there's always that worry, but I think there's that worry with loads of players, and we've missed out on a lot of players because we've maybe wanted to wait too long to see, is he really that good? Like with Bruno, like we should have got him in the summer, and we were like, is he really that good? Let's just wait. And I think Jack Grealish is just get him done, get him signed up.
I think it's a good choice. It's not a bad choice. But I think in light
and if Villa go down, you get him for 50 mil. 60.
Well, that's true. That is a good point. But I think in light of recent events with Grealish, it's just sort of reiterating the fact that maybe he's not the most reliable character. Sometimes he's got that, I don't know, a bit of a dodgy side to him. And like I said, that he's not really proved it in the top half of the Premier League. Someone that's a similar age to Jack Grealish, but has proved it in a team that is going to
this is going.
Exactly. No one expected him to do well this season, and they're probably going to finish top 4, maybe top 3, and that is James Maddison at Leicester. I think he gets similar sorts of numbers to Jack Grealish. He's playing in a team where they're overachieving rather than a team that is underachieving, like Aston Villa. I think whilst I don't want to put down Jack Grealish too much, because like I said, I am a fan of him, my worry is that,
Why don't we just buy Leicester, Joe? If you had your way at the moment.
I'm just writing that. Leicester. That's my fourth one.
It's like a genie with 3 wishes. You could have just put Leicester and had 2 other players.
I wish for more Leicester wishes. Well, I think, I don't think we'll necessarily get all 3, but I do think that James Maddison is a great player. I think he's a year younger than Jack Grealish as well, 23 rather than 24. He's proved it at a bigger club than Jack Grealish has, and he doesn't have to be the main man.
I don't know about.
You don't think Leicester are a bigger club than Aston Villa? Maybe if you put their whole history in, but certainly a bigger Premier League club than Aston Villa. Aston Villa have never won in the Premier League. And also, okay, he's finished at a club that are doing better anyway. He's proved it there. I think, historically, Aston Villa are a bigger club than Leicester, but in recent years, there's no denying that Leicester are a much bigger club than Aston Villa. But yeah, I just think he's a and it pains me to almost say this, but I think he's maybe a safer bet than Jack Grealish, which I don't necessarily want to be going for safe bets all the time, but I think we've brought in, Jadon Sancho. If he does come in, he's going to be a bit of a risk. He's going to be a bit of a flair player. I think sometimes you need people behind him, and I'm not trying to say that James Maddison's like Ji-sung Park or that kind of Owen Hargreaves type player where you just sort of you know exactly what you're getting out of him every game. But I just think Pogba's one who
brings maybe more balance.
Yeah, exactly, more balance, because you've got Bruno Fernandes who's a flair player, you've got Paul Pogba who's a flair player, and flair players are great when things are going well, but sometimes it looks like they're not putting the effort in, or they miss the showy chance, or they miss that. Whereas James Maddison is a cool head who can do the right thing 9 times out of 10, rather than doing an exceptional thing but getting it wrong occasionally, like Grealish or Pogba or that kind of player. So sometimes it's good to have that balance in there.
Interesting. So, your 3 ins, 3 outs to summarise were?
My 3 outs were Chris Smalling, Alexis Sanchez, and Jesse Lingard, and my 3 ins were Wilfried Ndidi, David Alaba, and James Maddison.
Not bad. And my 3 outs were Jones, Andreas, and Nemanja Matic, and my 3 ins were Sancho, Thomas Partey, and Jackie Grealish. That's been pretty good. That's a good selection. I think David Alaba was one that absolutely stumped me.
Well, I think I explained myself well.
You did. You did. Yeah. But I just thought, especially like Brandon Williams, Ethan Laird, Luke Shaw, I didn't expect anybody to say a left back today. So that's interesting. I wonder what people think about that in the comments. Do you have any final arguments for your selections?
Like I said, I just think yours are a bit more flashy. Obviously, you got Sancho. We both wanted that. I'm not going to pretend that wasn't the star man. But other than that, I think...
Do you think I did you over by letting you go first?
I hadn't thought about that. That was very good tactics by you. I think Wilfried Ndidi's proven in the Premier League. Thomas Partey isn't. James Maddison is a steady head and someone that is an excellent player who is improving all the time. And Jack Grealish maybe is better suited to be a big fish in a small pond. And David Alaba, one of the best defenders in the world, and he might be able to come to United. Perfect 3, really, isn't it?
Not bad at all, yeah. Thanks for that, Joe. Thanks for joining us. Where can the people then find you?
Check me out over on Stretford Paddock on YouTube and at JoeSmith93 on Twitter as well.
Yeah, man, make sure you're doing that. Joe goes live in the morning as well, just before we do, so you can check out both. We don't clash or anything, so you can watch both channels in the morning and get your football fix. Joe, you're going to be on again very, very soon, but thank you for joining us. Make sure you keep it locked, ladies and gentlemen, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. Remember, you can join now as well by clicking that join button to support AdamMcKola TV. But if you can't do that, make sure you click that subscribe button and like the video on your way out. For now, I've been Adam. It's been Joe. We're out of here.